So why are we still talking about email security? Every day, almost everyone on the internet uses email or some form of text messaging. It is so useful that we can't do without it. Hasn't email been around long enough that by now it should be secure? So let's get right to it. In the 21st century, we are still talking about email security because email is old, useful, popular, and very difficult to control from a security point of view. Let's dig into these problems first by briefly looking at the evolution of the ancient form of communications. Ancient from the perspective of the brief history of computer networking, that is. Email is a collection of information exchange protocols used to create software that distributes information between networked computer systems. What makes email special is that the information it exchanges is created by humans for humans. When the first two computers were networked together, the human operators wanted to send human-readable messages to each other. This desire gave birth to the email internet standards. And back then it was called text messaging. The term electronic mail, that came along later. See that standard on the bottom from 1982, RFC 822? That's pretty much the same email standard we use today. Oh, it's been polished up and a few features added, but we're basically using the same email protocol. Anybody here still driving a car made in 1982? Like that old clunker I had back in college, it was useful. It got me here and there, allowed me to haul a few things around, but looking back, it wasn't very efficient or safe. Safe being a relative measure for the time. Email, despite being an old clunker, is still very useful. Everyone watching this presentation has used email or some form of text messaging to move important information around. In fact, I doubt if we could imagine a non-trivial business that was able to successfully operate without email messaging technology. The problem is that most people don't really understand that, like an old Ford Pinto, email isn't very safe either. People love email and text messaging. Just like a birthday present, people look forward to opening email and seeing what's inside, prejudging that the content of email is safe, friendly, desired, and will make them happy. Unfortunately, bad actors such as criminals and hoaxers know this too, and use email as a way to deliver deceitful information directly to us while we are at our most vulnerable, expecting a safe and happy message. And, of course, there are other ways that email can be abused as well. To be perfectly blunt, security was not a big concern in the design and building of the early internet. The internet was intended to be used by a collection of friendly and cooperative scholars and scientists who wanted an open environment in which to exchange information and ideas. Why would you need security in an academic utopia like that? Well, there were security problems, like the Morris worm in 1988, which showed how easily tens of thousands of computers on the internet could be broken. Later, the adding of commercial businesses and access to the general public meant that anyone could send any information they wanted on the internet almost completely unrestricted. Fraudsters could send unsolicited advertisements, hoaxes, and even extortion threats to anyone with email. And as the capability of email was expanded to include distributing executable programs and hyperlinks, the bad actors used email as a delivery method for malware. Some of the largest and most damaging malware events in history used email as a delivery system. The internet was no longer the professional, cooperative information utopia that its creators had envisioned. Email is capable of reaching billions of people, and the messages it carries enters the hearts and minds of its recipients. It sounds like science fiction, but unless you regard every email you receive with suspicion, you too will one day fall for a cleverly crafted message that you think is flattering praise, a genuine product or service, or a legitimate request for information. You'll never know until you reply, click on a link, or open the enclosed attachment. And by then it's too late. Thinking that you are too smart to fall for a malicious email that contains a phony message, a deceitful link, or a malware attachment is being very human. However, it only takes one time, one misunderstanding, one situation where you feel that you have no choice but to comply. Can you guarantee that you will always recognize an email threat and not click? However, even if you never do, there are many people who are in your family, your friends, and coworkers that may not, and their actions can directly affect you. Other people with access to your personal, financial, and business information can simply give it away for you if they aren't aware that they are being tricked by using their old friend email. You think that you are too smart to be tricked by email threats, but are they? If you use internet email, you should be familiar with this term, defined here by the Verizon 2018 Data Breach Investigations Report. Unintended information disclosure to an unauthorized party is what users in the 21st century are most often facing when receiving malicious email. A bad actor uses email to trick you into disclosing your private information, or someone else's private information, such as owned by your family members or your place of work. And that's what we call a data breach. As an internet email user, you face three broad categories of threats: malware, social engineering, and annoyances. Now, we don't have time to explore all of these possible email-borne threats, but the top threat on each list is more than enough to make you swear off using email forever. How does malware, also known as malicious software, get into our organization? Well, Verizon has determined it's mostly coming from email, and mostly in the form of attachments, but links pointing to infected servers are accounted for too. And a little over 1/3 of that malware will be seen by your organization only once, meaning malware is changing rapidly, and that conventional signature-based antivirus you're using will not find most of it. The malware that you can expect to find your email looks like files that are opened on Microsoft Windows systems, such as Visual Basic Script, Windows executables, and Microsoft Office documents. Even system-agnostic files, such as Adobe Flash and PDF and JavaScript, are mostly geared towards attacking Windows computers and users. Do you have any of those in your organization? A type of malware that all email users should be aware of is ransomware. This is malware that holds your computer hostage and asks you for Bitcoin in return for your data back. Maybe. Ransomware doesn't just attack personal computers and devices, it also hits servers, including your company's database servers, which, if not backed up, can take your business offline for quite a while. Quite an accomplishment for just a single malicious email. Ransomware is currently the most prevalent type of malware, accounting for 85% of all malware infections in healthcare, 30% in retail, and 39% in all other cases where malware was identified. Ransomware first became a significant thing in 2012 and has only grown more capable and more prevalent since, making it the type of crimeware you are most likely to find attached to an email. So enough about malware. Let's talk about something even more prevalent in email: phishing, where you are the fish. So phishing is an attempt to get some information from you that you would normally not give up unless you really trusted the person you were giving it to. You see an email that you think comes from a trusted source or contains information that makes you believe the email is genuine. The email will most likely ask you to click on a link that takes you to a website where you will willingly give away your information and possibly infect your computer with malware while you are doing it. Even if you think you are too smart to fall for a fish, 4% of the other people in your home or office aren't as smart as you. So you think about that as they are potentially giving away their secrets, or yours, with every email they read. Why do people believe phishing emails anyway? Well, people want to be helpful and do not immediately assume that they are being lied to and deliberately deceived. Business people read so many emails each day that they don't have time to notice small details that might indicate the CEO's request to email an important spreadsheet to a strange location didn't really come from the CEO. An employee gets a request for information and fulfills it. That's the employee's job, right? Phishing emails and the use of false pretext and impersonation are extremely common in incidents involving social contact and data breaches. A phish can request confidential financial information, and if that doesn't work, another phish might be successful at getting the user's credentials. Yet another phish might be successful at installing custom malware on the user's computer that uses the credentials to infiltrate your company's network and exfiltrate the information the bad actor wants. It seems like a lot of trouble to go through, but it literally happens every day. And phishing is dirt cheap. It costs little or nothing to send phishing emails out to millions of targets. Remember that only a few of them need to bite or click for the phisher to get useful or valuable information. The damage caused by phishing can happen very quickly. According to Verizon, once a new phishing email is received in an employee's inboxes, it will only be 16 minutes before someone clicks on it. However, the phishing email will not be reported by users until 28 minutes after it arrives. This means there are at least 12 minutes of unrestrained control that the phisher has over your organization by your people falling for the phishing scam. And this assumes that you already have an email security system in place. From the phisher's point of view, the game is to give the targets confidence so they will give you whatever it is that you want. People have been social engineering each other for thousands of years. Email just provides just another way to deliver the con, scam, or fraud right to our faces in the guise of a promising opportunity, exciting adventure, or just another piece of work to do. And finally, there's spam. No, not this spam. Spam is a term used for all of those emails you didn't ask for and you don't want in the first place. Spam is actually a sales tool, like bulk mail, flyers, and junk faxes. The senders of real spam genuinely want to sell you products and services. However, the bad actors often spoof the appearance of spam in attempts to phish you for information or deliver malware to your computer, or just steal money from you. Any way you look at it, spam is rarely a good thing and should never find its way to your inbox or to your dinner plate. There are 4 precepts of information security that are used to truly secure all of our information everywhere. Every junior level InfoSec analyst knows them. Unfortunately, email doesn't natively support any of them. Why? Remember a while ago when I said that email is very old and the original builders of the internet weren't that concerned with security? That's why. Well, one would think that modern email is safe with all of the bolt-on security and privacy features that have been created for email and other messaging protocols. Unfortunately, there is still one hazard that is able to circumvent or simply ignore most security controls. Yes, the users of emails themselves. Users are trusting, unaware, naturally helpful, and respond to emotional stimuli, both good and bad. Users mistakenly send confidential personal and business information to the wrong recipients daily. This is especially easy to do when using email clients that help you automatically complete the email address and the user isn't paying attention. Users are also negligent when they don't follow security procedures created to keep personal and business information safe. Users feeling disgruntled and disenfranchised can turn malicious, even if only for a little while until their heads clear, but by then it's too late. Everyone has sent an email containing information that they later regretted sending. Regardless of the email security controls used, something bad will always get into your organization. At that point, the users are the last line of defense in keeping theirs, or their employer's, information safe. And of course, email security must be concerned not only with the malicious outsiders, but also with the accidental and negligent and disgruntled insiders as well. Okay, before I wrap up yet another talk on email security, let's go over the takeaways. Number 1, do not use email. Number 2, permanently disconnect all of your computers from the internet. And number 3, the old ways are the best ways. Okay, so these are not practical security measures for you either. Let's try this again. Do not send confidential, personal, or business information through email. You cannot know or trust where your email messages will be stored on its way to its destination, or who will see it, or where they will forward the information to. If you must use conventional email, encrypt the messages and all attachments that you are sending. Of course, this means the receiver must be able to decrypt your messages and encrypt their own reply. There are many secure cloud-based messaging systems that offer anti-spam, anti-phishing, and anti-malware features, and are quite convenient because they are managed off-premise in somebody else's data center. Thank you, Jeff Bezos. If you must use an on-premise email system, also use an advanced email protection system. For securely sharing files, consider using one of the many secure cloud-based file storage and retrieval facilities as an alternative to using encrypted email attachments. Your organization's email security system must contain email campaign-based threat intelligence. Most email campaigns are not reported by users, but are instead discovered by active threat intelligence. Your email security solution needs to know about email-based threats as soon as possible, and you can't rely on a few diligent users to notice every possible threat. Use a data loss prevention system to detect or prevent the unintentional or malicious sending of confidential business information in email. Both users and malware love to exfiltrate your confidential information to who knows where, and DLP will detect when that happens. Of course, you will also need a business data classification policy and process to go with it. Use advanced endpoint security controls that can detect unauthorized activity on a computer and stop it, such as the execution of a malware file. This catches not only malware, but also negligent users studying for hacking certifications on company time. Use multi-factor authentication to prevent weak and breached passwords from being an easy gateway into your organization's system and data. And please, do not allow users to run computers with administrator-level privileges. If they accidentally open a malicious file, it should not be able to install itself or run. Prompt security patching and a segmented network design are also key security controls in stopping the spread of a malware infection within your organization. Train your incident responders, not just with tabletop scenarios, but also with live exercises to detect malicious activity from compromised internal systems, to confirm that data exfiltration has occurred, and to apply mitigation controls. In incident response, practice, practice, practice is key. Educate and train your users to understand what is correct, accidental and negligent behavior, both at work and at home. Your people are the keys to winning or losing the battle against active cybercrime and accidental data loss. Again, practice, practice, practice at both home and work is key. And finally, plan to fail. Regardless of how good your user education and email security controls are, there will be failures that allow genuine security incidences to occur within your organization. Plan that this will happen, what can happen, and how you will recover from the effects. And remember, thank you very much for watching.